Hytale is a game, and games have OSTs. And some songs are good, some are mid, and some are just bad. But which one is the best? Well, today I'll try to answer that question by putting them in a tier list, including some fan-made ones. Okay, so the tiers are banger, fire, good, okay, and Hytale spins. And remember, all of these are my opinion, which is objectively 100% correct, always. And don't worry if you don't know the songs, I will be playing them in the background as I review them. And also, this list is somewhat old, so I may have missed some of the new songs. And without further ado, let's begin. So number 1 is Traveling Band, starting off with a banger. It perfectly balanced feelings of calmness and epicness, and the strings are just great. It is a bit boring in the beginning, however, but this is a well-deserved top tier. Night on the Dunes, a very solid song, great themes of mystique and very deserty feeling, which I feel was the goal. The woodwinds sound great, but the song does feel empty and a bit directionless in some parts. Fire tier. Quebec Village, a very playful and jubilant song, also very iconic. Even though it's a bit overused in videos about Hytale, I won't let it affect my judging. Very high energy throughout. Fire tier. A New Adventure. There's a similar vibe to Traveling Band, and the quality is on par. The song is one of the best at bringing the feeling of exploration and adventure. It's the one I could imagine the most playing in the background of the game in any context. Banger tier through and through. Gaia's Lament. I understand it's meant to be a slower and more thought-provoking song, but it's just plain boring. The melody is simple, and the calmness of it is the only thing I can say that's good about it. Okay tier. Herbalist's Refuge. Very cozy, but also somewhat energetic. The melody after the start of the song is top tier, but the song kinda trails off in some parts, so this is a solid good tier. Canyon of the Many Suns. This one is just boring. The melody isn't very enticing, and if you gave me a choice, I would just rather listen to almost any other song on the list. The chorus at the end is cool, so that bumps it up to okay tier. Snowfall. This is a better example of how to do a slower, more chill song. Even with its slower tempo, it's far less boring than the Canyon of Many Suns. The chimes at the end are a nice touch and put it a tier higher than Canyon. Ancient Tombs. Again a slower paced song. There's nothing wrong with them when you do them correctly, and I'm sure this is a fine piece of background audio, but looking at it in a vacuum like this, I just can't put it higher than okay tier. A World Below. A better example of a slow song than the others before it. A World Below really conveys the feeling of discovering a new, world. It starts off a little plain, but the ending makes up for it. Good tier. Snow Day. This song obviously tries to achieve a Christmassy vibe, and it does so effectively. I really don't have much to say, other than this is a very solid song that fits right into good tier. Adventure and Chill. A very classic Hytale song, has everything you would expect from it. The epicness, the style of the composition, it's all there along with some, as the name implies, chill parts. Barely makes it into fire tier because it's too good for the good tier. Into the Endless Sky. Even though it's by far the shortest song on the list that's made by Hytale, the song is simply a banger. The melody, the tempo, crescendos and dynamics all come together to turn this into one of the best songs on the list. Banger tier. Heroes of Orbis. The strings are just beautiful, but there's not much else. Still, a very solid fire tier. Hytale Holiday Yule Log 2019. Another Christmas song. Feels similar to the last one. Not much else to say, but I do feel this one presents the Christmas feeling better. Still, it's a good tier. Before the Dawn. The first fan-made Hytale song by none other than Slamma. The song is more of a remix instead of an original composition, and it's a damn good one at that. The electric sounds bring something new to the table, but don't ruin the magic of the original song. That's why I'll barely squeeze it into banger tier. Good job. Hytale Christmas Medley. Another remix, another Christmas track. The edits didn't resonate with me as much as the last one, but the original song is good enough for this to still make it into fire tier. Leaves. The first original composition. The slow start and the build-up make the song solidly slide into the fire tier. Destinations. This song was weird. It didn't really feel like a Hytale song, but it was still solid, so I'll put it in the good tier. Glacier Sky. The piano was beautiful, but there wasn't much else, so this will be a solid good tier. Not quite good enough for fire tier. Solitark. The composition really gives off the feeling of isolation and loneliness, and it is a very nice package overall, so solid fire tier. Sunset. A very catchy and playful piano melody, a bit repetitive though. However, the other instruments manage to bring it to the top of good tier. Insomnia. Great nighttime vibe, a very relaxing and slow song. Perfect example of how to do a calm track, and the ending was a nice surprise. Fire tier. Afloat. Very nice melody, though a bit incoherent sometimes. The song is interesting the whole way through. Good tier. Subterra. Similar to the last song, but a bit more pleasant sounding, still putting it in good tier though. Zone 4 Unnamed Song. I appreciate the use of tribal sounding instruments, giving the song a jungle-like feel. The crescendo in the middle and near the end of the song is also good. Bottom of fire tier. After the Sun Falls. Yet another somewhat remix of an official Hytale song. Very chill, yet somewhat mysterious. The original carries it to fire tier. Hytale screenplay Adagio. Short but sweet, with Adagio meaning a slow tempo, it gives the song a grandiose atmosphere. It feels both calming and intense, which just works in this case. Fire tier. Sandstone Tunnels. This song feels very empty and unfinished, and I'm sorry to say, just plain boring. It's not awful, but it's not very good, so okay tier. Art Time-Lapse Zone 2 Desert. Great atmospheric piece and works well as background music, but on its own, it's not much. Okay tier. Art Time-Lapse Varin. A respectable villain team brings forth a sense of foreboding and dread. Good at conveying the dark side of Orbis. Good tier. Shadow in the Clouds. This is an excellent piece, giving a truly legendary atmosphere, and as a fellow YouTuber Mind put it, it's peaceful and chaotic at the same time. A truly awe-worthy composition, can't put it lower than banger tier. Happy Hytale Halloween 2022. A very thematic song for one, starts off very mysterious and with a great tone, but kinda falls off in the second half. Good tier. Art Time-Lapse Zone 1 Swamp. An atmospheric piece, but somewhat boring. Lacks substance and only somewhat portrays the feeling of being in a swamp. Very forgettable. Okay tier. Flames of Hope. This was a very moving and beautiful string composition. The crescendos were unforgettable, so this is top of fire tier. Patterns of Frost. Very ambient and wintry, but also calm and serene. The melody carries it to fire tier. Songwood Symphony. And lastly, this song. Very catchy melody and playful tune, but it doesn't feel very Hytale-y, and all in all deserves a solid good tier. So that was everything. None of the songs were bad, and thankfully none of them made it into Hytale Spins tier. Just listening through all these songs took around 2 hours, let alone making this video. I would really appreciate it if you subscribed and join us before we take over the world. That's all, goblins. Bye.